In the quiet cul-de-sac of Willow Bend, where every mailbox matched and lawns were mowed to HOA precision, Elena Vasquez was known for her green thumb and her fierce love for her family. A 39-year-old high school teacher, Elena had lived in her cozy 3-bedroom home for a decade, raising her 12-year-old son, Mateo, with her husband, Carlos, a mechanic. Their garage was a treasure trove of Mateo's childhood, bicycles, action figures, and a telescope he'd used to stargaze since he was 6. But to Karen Milford, the HOA president and self-proclaimed pillar of Willow Bend's First Baptist Church, those belongings were clutter-ripe for her charity drive. Karen, a 58-year-old with a perm and a knack for turning neighborly chats into interrogations, ran the HOA like her personal kingdom. Her clipboard was her scepter, her rules, banning unsightly yard decorations or mandating beige window blinds, her decrees. She'd recently launched a church charity drive, pressuring residents to donate items for a rummage sale to benefit the less fortunate. Elena, always generous, had donated clothes and books but drew the line when Karen eyed Mateo's belongings during a routine property inspection. Karen had knocked on Elena's door a week ago, peering into the garage and declaring it a mess that violated HOA standards. "Those old toys would be better off with my church," she'd said, ignoring Elena's polite refusal. Elena thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. On a crisp Saturday morning in July, Elena and Mateo were at a soccer tournament an hour away. Carlos was at his shop, leaving the house empty. Karen, who'd made a habit of noting residents' schedules, saw her chance. She'd announced the charity sale in the HOA newsletter, claiming community support for donations, and had taken to collecting items herself, whether owners agreed or not. Armed with a master key she'd obtained as HOA president, Karen entered Elena's garage through the side door, bypassing the locked front gate. She loaded Mateo's telescope, a skateboard, and a box of action figures into her minivan, leaving a note on the garage door. "Items donated to First Baptist Charity per HOA Cleanup Initiative. Thank you for your contribution." When Elena and Mateo returned that afternoon, Mateo ran to the garage to grab his telescope for a stargazing club meeting. His cry of "Mom, it's gone," brought Elena running. She found the note, her heart sinking as she read Karen's words. Mateo, tears in his eyes, clutched his star chart, asking why someone would take his things. Elena's anger flared. She'd explicitly told Karen those items weren't for donation. She checked her security camera, a small device above the garage door, and saw footage of Karen hauling away Mateo's belongings, her minivan's license plate clear as day. Elena called Carlos, who rushed home, and together they drove to the church, where the rummage sale was in full swing. The church parking lot was packed with tables piled high with clothes, dishes, and toys. Elena spotted Mateo's telescope on a table labeled $50, his skateboard marked at $20, and his action figures scattered in a $1 each bin. Karen stood at the center, directing volunteers in her church apron, a smug smile on her face. Elena stormed over, Mateo trailing behind. "Karen, those are my son's things. You stole them," she said, voice shaking but loud enough to draw stares. Karen didn't flinch. "You weren't using them, Elena. They're for a good cause. The HOA approved this cleanup." Elena held up her phone, showing the footage. "This is theft. Give them back now." Karen's smile vanished, replaced by a scowl. "You're disrupting a charity event. I'll call the police." Before Elena could respond, Karen dialed 911, her voice rising to a wail. "There's a woman here threatening me at the church. She's trying to steal donations. Send help." Elena, stunned, stood her ground as shoppers whispered and pointed. Mateo clung to her side, clutching his star chart like a shield. Within minutes, 2 police officers arrived, their cruiser pulling up beside the sale. Officer Patel, a calm woman with a notepad, approached. "What's the issue here?" Karen launched into a tirade, claiming Elena was harassing her and trying to sabotage the church. Elena, keeping her cool, showed Patel the security footage and explained that Karen had entered her garage without permission. "Those are my son's belongings," she said, pointing to the telescope. She took them without consent. Mateo, voice trembling, added, "That's my telescope. I use it to look at stars." Patel watched the footage, her expression hardening as she turned to Karen. "Ma'am, this shows you entering private property and removing items. That's theft." Karen stammered, claiming the HOA gave her authority to clean up clutter. Patel wasn't having it. HOA rules don't override property laws. You need permission to take someone's belongings. The second officer, Daniels, retrieved Mateo's items from the sale table, handing the telescope to the boy, who hugged it tightly. Karen, red-faced, insisted Elena be arrested for causing a scene. Patel shook her head. "You're lucky she's not pressing charges, ma'am. Don't touch her property again." The officers escorted Karen to her minivan, warning her about criminal trespass laws. Elena and Carlos loaded Mateo's belongings into their car, the crowd parting silently. By evening, Elena had uploaded the footage to the Willow Bend social media group, captioning it, "HOA president stole my son's telescope for her church sale, called 911 on me." The post exploded, with neighbors sharing their own Karen horror stories. Her finding a family for a basketball hoop, her demanding a retiree remove a bird feeder. A petition to remove Karen as HOA president gained 60 signatures overnight, fueled by a viral thread on a site like X titled, "HOA Karen Steals Kid's Telescope, Gets Owned by Cops." At the next HOA meeting, held in the community center, Elena presented the footage, the police report, and a copy of the HOA bylaws, which had no provision for seizing personal property. Karen, cornered, claimed she was helping the community and hadn't meant to upset anyone. The board, fed up with her excuses, voted 6-1 to oust her. Karen left in a huff, her clipboard abandoned on the table. She moved out of Willow Bend a month later, her house sold to a young couple who joined Elena's stargazing club. Elena replaced the garage lock and upgraded her security system, ensuring no one could repeat Karen's stunt. Mateo, now 13, set up his telescope in the backyard, teaching neighbors' kids about constellations. The new HOA president, a laid-back accountant, scrapped Karen's petty rules, and Willow Bend felt like a neighborhood again. Elena smiled as she watched Mateo point out Orion's belt, knowing she'd protected her son's passion from a thief cloaked in charity.